Hey, hello guys. Hi, how are you all doing? It is Friday, the 24th, and I sort of thought it would be nice to start off the week with some positive things. So I kick off the week with the School of Nutrition, and my idea was kind of to end the week on a positive note, and that's how I kind of came up with the idea of doing the so-called food for positive thoughts. So it is a little project of mine, and basically comes from all kinds of different things. But one of the major things is that sort of people so a little bit, this is kind of a little bit of a background for you guys that especially are kind of logging in for the first time. And you, of course, you're more than free to let me know what you think. But the idea is that sort of people tend to ask me, especially in these sort of very, very unusual, specific times, how is it possible that I'm so often so positive? Different answers for that. I'm by nature kind of a positive person, but that triggered my thought that I could maybe share a couple of things with you guys. So my thoughts, just hopefully to inspire and maybe help people with that. But also, it's sort of the whole concept of kind of mindset. So really exercising your brain and mind in a way. It is very dear to me because I believe that just like anything else, it's the mind requires really workout in a way. So staying healthy and fit, it is about, workout and nutrition and all that, but staying also mentally kind of capable, that also requires certain really daily disciplines and workouts. I'm not going to make it too complicated, but this is sort of kind of my reasons why I do that. So a little bit of introduction for the guys that don't know me. My name is Anastasia. I'm going to be 39 this year. I'm a mom of 3. And my background is like 15 years. I've been in business and business development. So I love to do that. I love to sort of develop things, develop something out of nothing. But one of the greatest prize that I've had recently is becoming as of last year, actually becoming a health ambassador of the city of Amsterdam. So what that sort of means is that my greatest joy is to really bring sort of value to people's lives, inspiring people to live a better life in different ways, having a contribution, and in that way sort of also making an impact, I believe. But that didn't come out of nowhere. I think it was triggered by the fact that mid 2018, as I was kind of saying, I think a few weeks ago, was that mid 2018 I hit a burnout, and it was very challenging times for me. So the mental burnout, it's unfortunately something that happens very often. I've heard lately, but what it sort of triggered for me was that it was also kind of an eye opener. Because I just basically started my own personal pursuit of how can I be more healthy? How can I be more fit? How can I be more, how can I help myself? How can I be in a better state of mind, in a way happy, feel fulfilled, and sort of, be positive and all that. So they triggered my sort of whole process, and then that's how I came into this organization, in Amsterdam, which through which I became the ambassador of the city of Amsterdam. But with that having said, and I've kind of put a little presentation so I don't forget things, is that again, for me, the whole concept of, I think, positivity and energy, positivity and happiness is really just a state of mind. So it requires, so people will see me and they go like, oh my God, you're always with a big smile and all that. Yes, but, and by nature, again, I'm like that, but it does require certain workout, mental workout if you want, because just like our body needs it, our mind needs it too. So it's not really something you kind of sort of suddenly comes on you. You really need to sort of, I think, actively pursue that. That's sort of number one thing for me. But the other thing is that I think people sort of consider happiness as something you get and it stays. It's like sort of it's like a sort of a target you hit, whereas I don't think that's the case. I think that happiness is something you constantly need to upgrade, update, and kind of work on. So I think it's relatively simple. It's not easy, but it is relatively simple. So I'm going to share my personal thoughts. I'm going to share my personal opinion. I'm going to share sort of personally what I've managed to do in this kind of last 2 years. But having said that, I also want to point out that I know that I don't know everything. I really know that I'm aware of the fact that I don't know everything. I'm aware of the fact that I don't have all the answers. So when I do this, please consider it as my point of view onto kind of how I view things and my perspective. Through a lot of soul searching, a lot of courses, a lot of practice on my own self, which I'd like to share with you guys, and hopefully maybe I sort of inspire somebody else and help somebody else. So if you have any questions, you can type. I'll see the comments. Or you can just text me later on as you feel like it, guys. But the topic that I thought of talking about today, which is something quite dear to my heart, and it kind of helped me out in the pursuit of this soul searching and happiness and positivity and mental state of mind and all that, is something that you must have heard of it. It's called priority management. So it is really about prioritizing your time. So sort of priority management versus time management, and how priority management could hopefully help you in many elements of your life. You don't necessarily have to go through burnout to actually, practice and exercise it. So I'd like to sort of talk a little bit more about this sort of technique of prioritizing your time. So not really time management, but like priority management. So I think that the problem is, at least the problem that I was facing, and I think kind of a lot of people have that, is that I was also in that state. So we simply sort of have this view of life that we are doing so many things. I'm a mom, I have my own business, I'm running a family, I'm running a business, I have my own partner, I like to socialize. So some of us work long hours, but the thing is that there is this concept in our mind that we are constantly lacking time. So we constantly don't have time to do the things we like to do, which is scary, because for a person that I was at about 2 years ago, I was doing a lot of things, and I was just multitasking and quadruple tasking or whatever, but I simply didn't seem to have time in my life to do the things that it gave me energy. So that's the problem, and I think there is a kind of for me, there was a relatively simple solution to it, which didn't come by sort of, like that, but it was taught to me by some much wiser people than myself. And this is the whole kind of concept of priority management. So when we talk, and this is really versus time management. So when we talk about time management, is simply managing your tasks in a timely manner. So managing all the different activities you're going to do. This is like a sort of a traditional definition of time management, but time management is just sort of you are going to manage the different activities you have throughout the day in particular sort of times. That's time management. Priority management is something a little bit different. Priority management requires of you to actually figure out the priorities in your life and then plan time slots throughout the day to do those activities. So it's a little bit different process. So basically what it means is that sort of first you gotta focus and you gotta really go deep down and answer the question of what are priorities for me in my life? What is it that I like to do? What is it that gives me energy? Where do I feel happy? And that's sort of the major challenge there. And then you gotta sort of list them. What they are. You can do 3, you can do 5, you can do 10, whatever. But I think in the beginning, a little bit smaller list will do much better. Sort of the other thing about priority management, it requires of you to, I mean, you've heard this before, you kind of work smart, not really hard as much as you kind of work smart. You, of course, you got to work hard as well, but you sort of just, you got to work smart. What that means is the principle of 80-20. So basically you kind of put, it's the Pareto principle, and you probably guys, you most probably heard it, but basically what you do is you kind of roughly figure out which of the activities, which of the sort of 20% of the activities we have 80% effect on your well-being and on your life and your happiness. So just few of them, which will sort of give greater value to your life. So you sort of figure out what 2, 3, 5 things will bring great impact in your life. And those usually are things that are important to you and that you like to kind of do, that make you happy. Interesting enough is that this is really against all the things of how can you multitask. This is actually a monotasking technique. So basically what you sort of do is you really figure out the priorities, figure out what you like to do, and you focus your time, a particular time slot. Ideally, they say sort of try not to make it more than sort of 2 hours per slot. So ideally 2 hours per slot that you're really going to dedicate, you're going to shut off everything else and you're really just going to do that for 2 hours max. It depends on the activity. Yeah? Some activities are going to be half an hour, some activities are going to be 3 hours. Basically, sort of really just dedicate yourself to that. I see some of questions, so I'm going to try to answer in my own way later on, if that's okay. I think I can scroll. I think I know how to do that. But so you really just try to focus your time on that particular time slot. So it's really a monotasking technique versus the multitasking that we all try to do. So you kind of, what you do, you basically figure out the priorities. And I'll give you a practical example. You know, I'm going to go through my own life and how I do this, but sort of just the basis. So you figure out your priorities, you figure out what's important for you, you try to figure out how your day works and how much time can you spend on those activities. And then you're going to, what you can do is you sort of divide blocks, but going into a particular activity, you can also do sort of sub blocks. So what do I mean by that? So for instance, you say, I want to spend more time with my family. So that was my problem. I wanted to spend more time with my kids because it felt like I am not having quality time with my boys. Or you want to be more effective at work. Or you want to spend more time on your business, whatever it is, or sport or book reading or whatever makes you happy. You basically go into that activity, and you can also say, hey, I have 1 hour per day I can spend on it. I'm going to show you a little bit how I've done that. So how I've figured how much time I have per activity. But basically say I have half an hour, 1 hour per day. I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend more time with my boys. And then you go like, okay, within that time, I want to have 15 minutes where I'm going to ask them how they are. And I'm going to have 45 minutes of doing some very quality work with my boys, whatever it is. So you can really deep dive and just split your sort of priority blocks into smaller blocks. So this is kind of the principle of it, which sounds very theoretic and sounds very overwhelming, but in theory it is very, very, very simple. So A couple of other things which come together with this priority management before I can sort of share you guys my learnings and share how it had helped me and how I do the things that I do, which is not the only way how you can do things, but it is my way, how I do things for me. And maybe it helps some other people. I had to actually, first and foremost, unfortunately, some of the challenges, learn to not only say no, but when you go deep down inside yourself and you try to give answers to your own self, you go like, oh my God, I'm doing so many things that I try to make somebody else happy and I'm not necessarily make myself happy. So all these expectations, for whatever reasons that you have set upon yourself or by others, but mostly is upon us. So you're gonna kind of try to figure out a way to say no and yes to many things. And also at the same time, for me, my biggest problem is that I realize that I'm going to have to actually maybe disappoint a lot of people. But it all came down to if I would I like to disappoint myself or would I like to disappoint other people? So sort of the answer there came to me like, hey, I would rather unfortunately disappoint some other people, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, rather than myself. So let go of that first. Second thing is that this requires, and this is the only thing that it does require, is a discipline, is a self-discipline. If you want to figure this thing out and make sure you make time to do the things you like, it's actually a time saver. So you're going to give yourself time to do the things that you love, which ultimately will make you feel more happy and ultimately will make you feel more productive, effective, and positive. So it actually requires a lot of self-discipline. That's like the one thing that you guys gotta figure out. But the amazing benefits of it is that you're going to come to this point of sort of self-love and self-care and self-appreciation and self-productivity and really spending time on things you love without feeling guilty that you are losing on other things, so without the feeling of missing out. So it really gives a great benefits if you practice it. The other thing is that you gotta be really very, very, when you start asking yourself questions, be honest to yourself, be realistic, you know, don't go like, hey, I'd love to really maybe be an Olympic, well, at least for me, you know, I'd like to be an Olympic runner, you know, not really, right? That's not really going to happen. So, I mean, I maybe would like to do that, but let's remain realistic into actually sort of setting those sort of expectations for ourselves in a realistic way. And what is it that we like to do? And make it very simple. You know, if you decide to implement this for your life and you think it's this priority management technique and it might be beneficial, start simple. Start very, very simple. Set maybe 3 priorities, maybe 5 priorities, but don't overwhelm yourself. Just start very, very simple, build on those steps and go from there. That is the way that my mind works. Maybe your minds work another way, but for me, my mind, that's how it works. If I make it a mountain, I'm gonna go like, oh, I'm gonna use the F word, but I'm not gonna use the F word. I'll make you use the F word in your mind. So I'll never climb that mountain. But if it's very simple, if it's, you know, step by step, I'm actually able to sort of manage that. So make it easy for you, make it simple. So how does my day actually look? So how my day, how have I managed to implement this priority management technique? So basically, with the whole process of burnout, which again was a great eye-opener for me, or at least I choose to see it that way, which is also something very important. I have cautiously, mentally decided to see it as my wake-up call and as my eye-opener, and that's why I see it like that. I had to change things. I basically, it was my realization that I can't go and bang with my head on the wall, but I actually gotta change things if I'm to be better, if I'm to feel better, and if I'm not to actually go back to that state. So, funny enough, it's not really not doing things in your life, it's rather reorganizing things in your life. So that was also for me something that I figure now after about almost 2 years. So the first thing I was at that time required to do, and I actually I know I've had this conversation with some really great people that have helped me out tremendously in my life. People that don't even know each other, and they have either coached me or either just chatted with me, and they have basically given me almost the same tips and tricks and techniques. So the number one that they requested of me is, and I'm gonna if you are interested in this topic of priority management, I'm gonna sort of advise you guys to maybe note this down, or just sort of write it down, and try to, first step is beside being honest and open to yourself, but really just try to list 3 priorities, 5 priorities tops, that by sort of not just any, but really just by priority level, so by importance, the 3 to 5 top important things for yourself that you think are gonna make you more happy. So what is it that you're kind of missing in your life, perhaps? For me, number 1, for instance, was that it really I wanted to spend more time with my family and my partner. So that was the first thing for me. I wanted to spend more quality time because I felt that's lacking. The second thing was that I wanted to get my health back. I wanted to feel healthier. I wanted to feel fitter. I wanted to mentally feel much better. So that was the second thing. The third thing for me that was, of course, work. I wanted to, of course, maybe some people don't work or choose not to work, or they're self-employed or employed by others. It doesn't really mean, but just sort of for me, work is also something that gives me pleasure, and I want to be good at it. So how can I be good at it? How can I do the things that I love to do? How can I become the efficient and the productive me again? And 4, and this was really just, I had 4, was that I spend time on me. As simple as that. Just leisure, whatever it is, sports, book reading, manicure, pedicure, hair, makeup, coffees, spa, sports, I said sports, recreation, anything, just your time. So I had those 4 priorities. And the second thing that was requested of me is that I sort of try to look at my day and figure out what of the things, how does my day look? So which parts of the day are time that is blocked and I can't do anything with it. So for instance, work. If you work, you gotta be at your office 9 o'clock, and you're there and have to spend time there until, depends on what you do and how long you do, but let's say 9 to 5. So I never really worked 9 to 5, I always said like earlier, but just for the sake of this example. So that your time between 9 and 5 is blocked, so you can't shift it around. That's it, you gotta do that. But before 9 and after 5, it is your free time. So look at that time, look at the time you have, and what are the things that you like to do, and kind of try to plug in the things that you like to do in your free time. So pre-plan in a way. So what how my day looks like is, for instance, I know that after my kids go to school, so somewhere between, as I said, like 9 to 5, that's the block of time that I can't touch, or at least when I was employed, I couldn't touch. Now that I'm self-employed, I can manage it a bit different, but like sort of that, just for the sake of the example, that block of time is something that I cannot touch. Maybe you don't work, but still maybe you have responsibilities around the house or around the kids or whatever it is that you do. These particular blocks of times that you have to do. And then I was like, okay, but then have the times before and after. So what can I do with that? The time before, I started reading a lot about the techniques of self-meditation and early morning workouts and all that. And I was really just curious about trying them out. So a lot of this is trial and error for 2 years now. My kids wake up at 7:30, so I need time to get, so you know the drill. So I said, okay, I gotta wake up before my boys if I'm to try something. So I wake up about 6:45. What I try to do is until about sort of 7:15, so for half an hour, I do 10 to 15 minutes of meditation, and I do about 10 to 15 minutes of light stretches and yoga. So what I do in the what you basically see me do every morning now live on Facebook. So then I get ready. Then I wake up the boys, then I take the boys to school, and that's so between sort of 7:15, 7:30 to about 9 o'clock. So 7:30 to 9 o'clock, my life has sort of showed that it's relatively fixed, but within the time slot, I gotta eat. So I've made sure that I bring in my breakfast in that time, so I don't go jump over that. I make sure it's there, and it's every morning around the time that my boys eat, which is around 8 o'clock. I also make sure I have my breakfast. I don't skip my breakfast, which is my detox aloe, my energy tea, my nutritious smoothie. So that's what I do. It takes me like 5 minutes. I bring the boys to school, or they go alone, whatever it is. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I can't touch that time. And then after 5 o'clock, until my boys go to school, go to bed, which is around sort of 8 to 9, depends on the day, but around that time. So let's say until 8 o'clock. So between 5 and 8 o'clock, I have cautiously decided my phones are out, my email is out. I don't answer messages. I don't answer emails. I try not to look at my phone. I dedicate my time to my boys, my family, and really to the kids, not as much my partner. My partner comes a bit later, but my boys. And you can then build your day like that. You can really build the day like that. Look at your slots. After my boys go to bed, after 9, I do another round of some calls with potential clients that I have. And by 10 o'clock, I always close my laptop, I always close my phone, and then so between 10 and 11, I always build in time to read some book or just snooze off the day and get my energy down and get ready to sleep. That's how my day looks. So I've plugged in things. I try to do that on the weekly basis, and I try to do that on monthly basis. So for instance, I've decided that 3 times a week I'm gonna work out. And I know the slots. I know which times they're free for me, and I really pre-plan those times to do the workout. And I go and swim. I go to the swimming pool. So I have Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays between 12 and 2. Again, I'm self-employed. I have my own business. I do that because I can do it like that. You guys don't have to do it that way. You can do it another way. But things that make you feel happy, that give you energy, build them into your day. Don't expect to have time. You gotta make time. That's the whole point. You gotta cautiously, mentally pre-plan them and build it into your day. I always try that once a week. Fridays or Saturdays is my socializing time. My work is a lot with people, but still I want to see my friends. I want to go out. I want to be with my husband, so I pre-plan that. It sounds idiotic, but it's a very big discipline. And in this way, I have managed to decrease my anxieties and increase my pleasure, because I now managing my priorities and pre-planning my priorities, make sure I cover the things that I like to do, the things that give me energy. It is a discipline, because you gotta say a lot of times no. People will call you up, and I'm just gonna go like, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm now with my boys, can I call you up a bit later, or maybe tomorrow? I know I'll be free between then and then, because I know how my day is gonna look in advance. So people don't get angry. They don't get angry. Nobody gets angry, and you feel much more down to earth. So it has given me a lot of peace, this technique of priority management, versus just simple sort of time management, just planning and plugging in things. And even I plan things, I prioritize things that I don't really like to do, but I know I have to do. So for instance, like bookkeeping, or reports for school, or reports for my job, or my business, and some analysis I gotta do. So, but I plan them because I know that I have to do them, and if I kind of pre-plan them, it gives me also peace of mind. So I just maybe I talked a little bit too much, guys. Maybe I hope it helped you a little bit. Again, I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the things. This is just my view on things. That if you try to implement this technique of priority management in your life, you are gonna start making time for the things you love to do, and in that way give yourself free time so you're gonna free up time for yourself, rather than just kind of doing the simple time management thing. So you gotta start enjoying things a lot more, and you're gonna, at least for me, I'm much more calm and much more positive about everything that happens, because I have loved myself enough and given myself enough attention to do the things that I like to do. So my challenge to you with this would be to do one thing, that first and foremost, knowing things, they say knowing is half the battle. No, really not. If you don't know, you don't know. You don't know. It is what it is. But if you know and you don't do anything about it, then it is actually fool on me, shame on you. But fool me once, shame on you. But fool me twice, shame on me. That's kind of the same thing. If I don't know, I don't know. But if I know and I don't do things, then it's actually shame on me. So knowing is not really half the battle, unfortunately. It's also about sort of doing things. So try to figure out your priorities. Try to figure out how you would like to plug them into your day and pre-plan them. So what is important for you, things that are important for you, and just start doing it. And start doing it very, very simple. If there is one thing, it's just one thing. Make sure you practice it until actually it becomes a habit. And really, you gotta sort of dedicate yourself to at least, I don't want to discourage you, but in all fairness, being very honest with myself and with you guys, I think a good 10 to 12 weeks. So you gotta really it's almost like 3 months until you get used to it and it becomes a habit, in a way. Another thing is that, be honest to yourself, and you kind of those are my boys. They're trying to say good night. So be honest with yourself, and you gotta wait for me, boys. Oh, those are my boys. They're saying good night. That's the nanka. Yay! So with all the whole COVID thing, you know, things kind of got a little bit out of control for everybody. We were trying to keep the sort of the daily routine, and I think this is kind of the daily routine. But my point is that, you know, make things simple, because if you make things simple, you can stick to them. If you make it way too complicated, you're not going to be able to stick to them. You know, little things over time bring great values. And another very, very important thing for me is, I don't know where this is going to take me. I don't know how things are going to go. I just try to enjoy the process. I just try to enjoy the whole process of developing myself and become the becoming, the creating, really, you know, because I've heard or read somewhere that it is not the greatest joy in life. It's not to figure out who you are, but it is to actually create yourself into what you want to be. So I think that's the process of the enjoyment. You know, that's where you enjoy. So don't put too much on yourself. Just make things more simple and easy for you guys. I hope this is going to help you. If you maybe have any so this really comes from the bottom of my heart, and I guess not having the social momentum of life right now, and I'm a social animal. I love to be with people. I think kind of this talking live and sharing things with people, it's my way of connecting. So I hope you liked it, guys. Let me see. I saw a couple of questions here. It's a lot of likes. Thank you very much. Goedenavond iedereen. Yes. A question from Alberto. So he says, what do you do when you feel very overwhelmed? The way I see things, and I've had people coming and asking me the same thing, is that unfortunately when I trace back my situation in 2018, I think I had a constant feeling of overwhelmness. So I think I felt that I don't have control over my own life. This is me now retrospectively looking into things. At that time, I had no freaking idea. You know, I just felt that something is off, but I didn't know what it is. So what do you do when you feel overwhelmed? I think the overwhelming part comes mostly from doing a lot of things, but most probably a lot of those things that you do are not necessarily what you would like to do. If it is no matter if it's a personal or professional life, I think it's just who you are and what you like to do and what you actually do. They don't connect. They don't relate. So I think if you keep on doing the things that you don't like to do or don't give you energy that much, you basically get stuck into the 20%. So they drain your energy. You know, you get stuck into that 20% of or 80% of things that just give you 20% of the energy. So I think it's about reshuffling things around and looking at it from a different perspective. If it's business, maybe you want to look at it from the perspective of how can I become more effective? How can I be more productive? So doing the most critical and the most important things that are going to bring you the highest effect. And that's the same really for personal life as well. So if you just keep on spending time with answering phone calls, or people are calling you here, calling you there, from family to friends, from friends to family, going out, you end up spending your day on a lot of things that might not necessarily be where your heart is. So I think in both cases, the answer to the question is, who are you and what do you like to do? What gives you energy for both professional and personal? I try to do the same thing with my business as I try to do the same thing with my personal life. And then I spend the time on those key elements in my day where I get the most energy out of them. That's how my whole overwhelming thing, where I felt like at moments that I'm really kind of suffocating of all the, really just losing my, I had a lot of shortness of breath the last months. I just felt like really this very overwhelming feeling that I'm losing my breath and I can control things and everything. And if I see it now, is I've simply shifted things around. I'm spending much more time on things that I like to do and give me energy, and where I'm much more productive. Same goes for business, same goes for personal life. That doesn't mean that I do only things that I like, but again, I do things that I don't like. I just, or I like less, but I plug them into my day. So I will say that between 3 and 4, I'm going to look at my emails and answer all these emails that have been pending for like a week. So for instance, like things like that, so that how it had helped me. I hope Alberto this answers your question. Let's see if I have a lot of sort of thumbs up and thank you, but let me see if, no, so that was kind of the only question. If you guys have any other questions, you are free to let me know. I'm going to answer them from my perspective again, which is not the only perspective, but it is the one that I have done. So I hope, guys, that you might have gotten a little bit more insight into sort of priority management and how it had helped me save my and gotten me out of the burnout. I'll let the video run on Facebook, and I'm even going to put it up on YouTube. So if you want to share it, guys, feel free to do so. Again, it's all about not training our body, not training only our bodies, but also our mind to look at things in a realistic, maybe, or positive way. But it is, no matter if it's realistic or positive, it is training, because our mind has the natural tendency of, just like our bodies, of being lazy. So we gotta train it to see things differently. I think that's it for me for tonight. It's Friday. Normally we would be out enjoying some drinks. I'm actually gonna go and do that right now with some friends. We're gonna do some Zoom call, and I have some drinks. I even saw Milenka in the live, so I'm gonna do that now. The trick there is that I have pre-planned this, so sort of Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Sundays as well. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday evenings for me are my leisure time, are my time that I want to spend with my friends, and that's how I kind of go through life with I must say a lot of pleasure, especially the last sort of a year, for sure. So I hope you guys can reach that state if you're not there already. If you are, maybe you want to share your tips. If you are not, maybe you want to ask your questions. Feel free to do so. I'll try to answer them. So thank you very much, guys. This was the technique of spending, so priority management, of really freeing up and spending more time on the things you like. So freeing up time and spending more time on the things you like. And have a happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Love you. Thank you very much for listening. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. for the emergency wellness workout. So we have exercised our minds. We're not going to exercise our bodies as well a little bit. So see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. for the emergency wellness workout. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Love you. Have a wonderful Friday Eve. And let me know for more muscles tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're going to work out. Thank you very much, guys. Bye. Bye.